screen right now, thinking in English. Now, it's a very, after a lot of thought, we have kept this session on the very first day because these are certain very basic ground rules that we have to get them right at the beginning. Okay, so as we will go along, you will also understand in more detail why this is so important that I'm emphasizing so much on this. So moving on. So basically, why is thinking in English so important? Now, over the next 14 days, whenever you attend a session every day, maybe you'll get some assignments, and maybe there will be a few group discussions which we may organize, or you guys can also organize on your own. So as we go along in this course, so we basically just want one thing from you, that you guys need to take out some time every day and practice whatever is being discussed in these sessions. Now, I will be giving you guys a lot of practical advice, a lot of practical tips. I will teach you some practice techniques, which you guys can then try it out in your own free time. And I will give you multiple techniques. So if one thing doesn't work out for you, you can definitely try the other thing. Okay, but the idea is that apart from attending this session for maybe 45 minutes or 1 hour, every day, take out at least 1 hour, one more hour for your practice. Whatever we discuss in these sessions, please revise them. When I say revise, just mentally think about them. If you're making notes, you can go through your notes as well. And whatever techniques we discuss in these sessions, make sure that you try it out for a couple of days. And then after a few days, you stick to the techniques which you feel are working better for you. Okay, so I will be giving you a lot of practical tips and advice, whereas Kavita Modi, who is the other educator in this course, she will be going through more of the technical stuff like grammar and real life conversations and all public speaking, body language, voice modulation, and all those technical aspects she will be taking you through. All right. So, why is thinking so important? Thinking in English, basically. Now, we all have grown up speaking in a particular language. Now, obviously, if you guys have joined this course, I'm assuming that you all are not native English speakers, right? It is not our first language, it is not our mother tongue. Even for me, I have grown up speaking in Hindi, but obviously, we have studied English in school throughout. So, since we have not been speaking in English throughout, right from our childhood, that's why there is a process of internalizing a language. That actually happens naturally. But it doesn't happen with English because it is not our first language. All right? So, basically, what happens is, if you must have seen any babies also around you. How do they pick up any language? Nobody sits and teaches them grammar, alphabets, or anything, but they still pick up words and sentences, and they're able to pick up, a language pretty fluently without even thinking about any technical things. Right? So, through this process of thinking in English, we will try and implement the same thing with English. So, instead of following a procedure where we learn new words and then, sort of we get stuck in the process of translation every time. As you can see, the first point also in this slide, it says that you will tend to make a lot of mistakes early on if you think in your local language. Okay, and then you translate it into English. So this happens with most of us, I believe. If you're not very fluent with a language, you tend to translate words to your local language and then you think of a reply and then you reply. So obviously it will take much longer for you to respond to people. So thinking in English helps you internalize the language. As I was telling you earlier, internalizing basically means that you learn it so well, it comes so naturally to you that you no longer have to even think about anything before you speak. You just speak, right? You don't need to think about pronunciation. You don't need to think about grammar or anything. You can just speak. So that way you don't need to remember any rules and pronunciation before you speak. All right. So this is why I'm emphasizing so much on this process of thinking in English. Now, how can we build this habit? Because obviously our mind keeps working almost all the time whenever we are awake. Whenever we are not sleeping, even in our sleep, our subconscious mind takes over and it does its job. But when we are awake, our mind constantly has a lot of thoughts going through it, right? And if you pay attention to those thoughts, most of those thoughts will be in your native language. Whichever language you're most comfortable with, your thoughts will also be in that particular language, mostly. Okay. So we just want to change this process so that after maybe practicing for a month or maybe a couple of months, you get to a point where whatever you think, you start thinking that in English. All right. Even we do a lot of self-talk every day. We talk to ourselves all the time, right? Mentally. So even that should come naturally in English. It should get to a point where without thinking, paying attention to it, you still think in English. Okay. So how do we do that? The first step is very basic. I was talking about a baby earlier. How do babies pick up any new language? So they obviously cannot read, right? So they only listen. They keep listening all the time, and that is why listening is the most important thing over here. And listening is so important because it is so easy to implement in your life. Okay, with everything else, with when it comes to improving your spoken English, when it comes to speaking in public, when it comes to you know answering something in an interview or something like that, it is very difficult to practice a lot for those things. Obviously, how much can you speak in a day, right? But there is no limit to how much you can listen to. Because even if you're doing your daily chores, like if you're cleaning your room or if you're cooking something for yourself, or you're just, taking a shower or something, having a bath, even during those times, you can still consume English by listening to more English. All right. Half of any conversation involves listening. That is why listening is such a big part of communication. Whenever there is a two-way communication, there is always somebody who is speaking and somebody has to listen so that they can comprehend and then reply. So listening triggers your brain to comprehend and understand any language much more naturally. So basically, the idea is very simple that I'm trying to put across. You just have to increase the amount of English in your life. If you listen to news, start listening to English news. If you like music, start listening to more of English music. If you like watching TV shows, start watching English shows. All right. So as I've listed also here, listen to podcasts, English songs, and watch English TV shows, movies, and even documentaries. There are a lot of informative documentaries through which you can also improve your knowledge, while at the same time you'll be listening to more English. All right. So try singing songs or repeat memorable dialogues in your head. So singing songs is something that I have also seen in my personal experience. So as I was growing up in school, I realized that because I was listening to a lot of English music and I was singing or maybe rapping along with those songs, so it helped me in improving my clarity of speech, my pronunciation, and overall it helped me in improving my English.